This is going to be a special show tonight. I'm on stage with the greatest, what can I tell you? And we're going to talk for a little while with none other than Mr. James Brown. All right. Mr. Brown, thank you for taking some time to talk with us tonight.
Good night. I start to say good night, but the show is not starting yet, so not good night. I want to say hello to you. Thank you very, very much for taking time to listen. Watch this show. Because there's a lot of information here, and you got the best host in the world.
That's very kind of you. It's very kind of. If you see there's a lighting differences and stuff, that's because we're testing right here, and Mr. Brown is due to go on, fairly soon this evening. But we've taken a few minutes because I wanted to ask you to just kind of share with our audience, etc., which is all sorts of demographics, a little bit about what you're doing now, what's important in your life at this time, and maybe since we're at the turn of the century, maybe you could tell us some of the people, in your opinion, that have influence. We're not going to count James Brown because everyone knows how important he has been, not only to music and dance, but what about some of the other people who not only influenced you, but you think are the great music artists of the past century?
Well, personally, I saw a little bit of the Jerry Butler, Loyd Price, Gene Chandler show, and other people that got mixed in, OJs, people like that. That's where you have to start from. You that don't know about music, you see James Brown, you see a made product, but never finished until you go, and that's not finished. But those people had a lot of influence in those days. You think of Stagger Lee, you think of Rainbow, you think of Jerry Butler, Your Precious Love. Never will be duplicated. Imitated, but not duplicated. If you see them, go catch the show. Because it's important. It's inspiration. It's motivation. It's what our music has become. You can't no longer go to the mom and papa stores and get the album, because you may have to get it off the internet. But you must be a part of the music change. And the millennium brings the change. But you can't go to Z unless you go with start with A. So when we talk about the early people, like the Muddy Waters, like the different acts, like the Aretha Franklin, like the Dells, like the Bobby Blands and B.B. Kings and Moms Mabel and all those people made this business what it is today. We must look at them. We must evaluate them. Go get the old tapes, go get the other stuff, and find out what's happening with the music. Find out where these sounds came from. When you hear this. Who'd ever thought the blues would wind up there? Back to.
All right. Well, I want to ask you one other guy that you've been linked with as being somebody that you were like a big influence. What about the father of rhythm and blues, Louis Jordan?
Louis Jordan, to me, will always be the man. He knew about it before we could put our foot on it. Naturally, I was able later in my life to add the gospel to it and come from other areas and mix in a lot of things. Not just straight R&B, but go back and get all those other things. But believe me, when you have Rita Keaton going in Caledonia, you'll know one thing. What makes your big head so hard?
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Brown. This has always bothered me. Maybe you have an answer for it. It seems to me that our European audiences give more respect to our classical artists than the American audiences do. You are one of the exceptions in that you're recording and doing things, but normally people, who have been around for a while wind up doing, not recording new stuff, and sometimes not even being able to get record deals and things like that. Why is it that we seem to treat our entertainers who we love so much and who give us so much pleasure so disposably?
Let's remind ourselves, America is still a copy of the European concept. And we must carry a lot of that with us. So when we really want to get down to basics, we go back to the motherland, the mother country. It could be arguable whether it's Africa or whether it's London. But you go back there and you bring back those ideas and you see what's going on with it. And then you bring them to America. America's North America. You got to go back through, you have to go back to your crossroads. And that's the crossroads. See what's going on. Those people will definitely recognize you and bring you back and say, you know what, you didn't see James Brown. I remember the Beatles. When they came over, everybody was going crazy about the Beatles. Could have been the hair or whatever. But they was going crazy about the Beatles. But you know, and the Beatles only had 4 musicians. Blew the place away. They had those box music, those box amplifiers, come with a more dynamic sound. You can't ever get away from Fender and Hammond organ. Even though these have a lot of bite. It's not like the Hammond. We all got to go back to that. And then when you say things you want, you need this. Sometimes the Hammond won't cut through there. But remember, you got to go back to the beginning to find out where we're at now.
Well, I can only say this, that you ask young people today, some of them might not even know the Beatles, but it seems like everybody knows James Brown.
Well, that's because God made it possible, and people like J.B. Ross and a lot of people that I know. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you for spending some time with...
Don't get away from these drummers now.
Uh-huh.
That's Hargrove, and that's Spike, and that's Mouser, and that's the heartbeat of your music. It comes from here.
From the drums.
We got the rhythm up front.
I see. All right. Well, let me ask you, before you go, any advice you want to give to young people starting out?
Yes,
I know you...
Yes. To all young people that are starting out, learn how to play. Remember, you cannot play a concert with one note.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you. All right. Hey, I'm in the lobby right now at the Erie Crown, where we've just finished watching Gene Chandler, Jerry Butler, Benny King, and Loyd Price do a great show. We'll try and get some interviews. I thought I'd let you see. This is the crowd surrounding them as they're signing autographs. There we go. And my first guest, none other than Mr. Benny King. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you.
You had a hit recently with Stand By Me, which was the second time in 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And now with the way that the Latin music is going so hot, I hear there's rumors of Spanish Harlem resurfacing.
Well, we're crossing fingers, and there's a lot of people that seem like they want me to kind of team up with. I'm very, very close to the manager and agent, and know him personally, Jose Feliciano, and there is a possibility of doing something with him. So crossing fingers, as I said.
Well, your fans in Chicago sure went wild for you tonight.
I had a wonderful time here.
Well, come back anytime. You're so welcome,
I
and
can't wait to do that.
and the whole show was a great concept.
Thank you.
And what else can I say? Just you know, right on. And we look forward to hearing other great things from you.
I have out a big band record called Benny King's Shades of Blue on Half Note Records. If anybody get a chance, it's all old great standards that I did. I wrote one song on there, which is a tribute to my mother, called A Song for Jenny. But it's really, really doing very well. I got very good reviews on it. So if anybody's out there interested in Benny King singing with a big band, try that, because it's something different that I did, and it was very good.
Excuse me again.
Well, as you can tell, we're certainly on live television when the guy comes through twice.
Excuse me twice.
Well, again, I promised you only a couple minutes just so that we could, you know, show a little bit of you to our audiences, and I'll keep my word. Thank the guy who put the show together. And Loyd, your secret is out. After that Don King special, everybody knows that you're the businessman of rock and roll.
Is that right?
That's right, and obviously you put this show together. It was great tonight, Loyd.
I thank you very much.
You know, in the 80s, 4 women did a similar show called 4 Girls 4, and they toured for like 4 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, what about you? You guys think that might happen?
Well, we think this show gonna have a lot of longevity because we got a lot of perks in there that people haven't seen before. It's kind of a new way of presenting this music and this generation of music, which I think was the greatest music in the history of America, because wherever you go, you hear this music. So we put this thing together, Night with Friends, so that we can kind of relive that period and get the nostalgia, plus be a little creative in terms of being commercial, you know, and presenting the show with a lot of energy and juice.
Well, it sure had that, Loyd.
And Jerry Butler and Benny King and Gene Chandler right there. We got the big band, 22 pieces under the direction of Al Johnson. We got all new music. And we use a lot of pyro. We did not use it here because you can't use it in this theater. And we use a lot of different lights. However, we didn't think we needed that part here But this is a very exciting show, and it goes on for 90 minutes, 2 hours, nonstop. We kind of really relaxed a little bit tonight, but the show was still great, and we loved it.
Well, let me ask you this question. For those poor, unfortunate people that didn't know or couldn't come, any chance you may be back with it?
Oh, absolutely. This is our first time in Chicago with this show, and we are definitely planning to come back because we had about 3,000 people here tonight, so that was wonderful. It was with all the other stuff going on in town.
And can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
The expression four-walling in the industry means when you rent the theater as opposed to having somebody hire you. I assume, knowing your business acumen, that you four-walled this.
Well, what we do, we have a company, and we produce all of our shows.
Well, I knew it. Look, we'll use this footage when the show's coming back as a way of promoting it and letting people know, because this is a show not to miss.
Okay, Jay.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Right.
All right, this is Jerry Butler, and Jerry's promising that he'll do the show within the next 6 months, right?
Next millennium.
Thanks, buddy.